Hey everybody, my name is Taylor Glenn and this is my channel Taylor Tries, where I try new things and I try to teach you new things. And today I'm going to teach you 5 more easy tricks that you can learn with 3 juggling balls. Let's do it. The tricks today that we're going to cover are fake columns, fake alternating columns, the yo-yo, the oi-oi, and the 1-up, 2-up overthrow. Before we jump into it, I want to take a second to thank everyone who is a member of my Otter Club over on Patreon. It is because of people like you that I'm able to make these tutorials for everyone else, so thank you so much. If you want to join the Otter Club, you can do that. There's a link in the description. You get access to some exclusive goodness, as well as an extended version of this tutorial and many others. In the extended version of this tutorial, I'll be covering 3 additional variations of the 1-up, 2-up. Exclusively for patrons. All right, let's learn these tricks. So the first trick we're gonna cover is called fake columns, or a fake 1-up, 2-up. If you don't already know the 1-up, 2-up, I recommend that you check out my other tutorial on 5 easy juggling tricks. I cover that trick in that tutorial, so go check that out and then come back. But this one is just a really fun, simple variation of that trick. In fake columns, we're gonna be juggling 2 balls in one hand. And we're doing it in the column pattern, where the balls are going straight up and down and not going in a fountain where they're rotating in a circle. Now, while we do that, the other hand is just going to follow that outside ball. Pretty simple, but let's break it down. All right, to start, I want you to really just practice with 2 balls in one hand. So work on doing this up and down column pattern. Try to make your lines really straight. Each ball should stay in its path. So don't have the balls rotate inward or outward. They should go straight up. It doesn't matter how far apart they are, just keep them straight up in their own line. Practice that until you've got that solid. Then we can incorporate this 3rd ball, which is really, really simple. All we're gonna do is we're gonna start with that column pattern, and I want you to pay attention to this outside ball. When we throw that ball up, I want you to lift the other hand with it. Just try that a few times. Now, I want you to follow it up and down. That's it. That's fake columns. It's really a basic trick. If it helps you, you can practice getting into it from the 1-up, 2-up. Start with the 1-up, 2-up, or columns, as some people call it, and with one hand, instead of throwing the ball, just lift it. You can continuously do it, or you can alternate between a 1-up, 2-up and the fake columns. It's got a kind of neat look to it. So fake columns is really all about that illusion, which means that when you're lifting that hand up, try to perfectly match that outside ball. Wherever that ball is peaking, have your hand peak there as well. If it's uneven, it's not only gonna not look as good, but your timing is gonna be off, and it's gonna make you lose track of where you're supposed to be lifting, and it's gonna be a lot harder. So really focus on matching that ball perfectly. The other tip that I think helps with this trick is slowing it down. When you're doing columns in one hand, try not to rush the balls, and try not to just have the tendency to pop them up. I want you to let them come down, extend your arm, and then push them back up. Nice and slow. It's gonna give you time to really create that illusion nicely. The other tip I want to give you is sort of a stylistic tip. When you're lifting this ball up, try not to cover the ball or do it in this like outward claw-y thing. I think it looks best when you hold the ball facing out. That way whoever's watching the trick can really see that full juggling ball. Yeah! Let's move on to the next one. The next trick we're gonna learn is just building off of that last fake columns trick. What we're gonna be doing is, instead of just doing the fake column with one hand, we're gonna be alternating the hand that we're doing it with. So we're gonna start by doing our fake column trick that we just learned. As you can see, I'm only moving my left hand up and down. But if I alternate it, I create a whole different looking trick. So let's break that down. So start by doing the fake column trick that we just learned with just one hand. But then this time, when this hand comes down, I want you to throw it the next time instead of lifting it up. As you do that, lift the other hand. If you're really having a hard time with this one, I recommend just doing one side and then switching to the other side and do the other side for a second. And then eventually you can alternate every single time and do the full trick. And that is fake columns alternating. It's a really basic variation of the one that you just learned, but it looks completely different and it's really fun. So let's move on to the next one. Number 3 is a really great crowd-pleasing trick. It is called yo-yo. Now the reason it's called yo-yo is because it looks like a yo-yo. It looks as though you are lifting one ball up on a string. It is, once again, just a variation of that first fake columns trick that we learned. What's happening is instead of pulling that fake column ball on the outside of the pattern, you're going to be following that inside ball and doing a fake column over the top. Let's break it down. So once again, I want you to start by doing the 2-ball column in one hand. But this time, instead of lifting this ball to match the outside ball, I want you to try to match the inside ball. Just take a second and do this. Now, this in and of itself is kind of a cool variation. You can do that and kind of mix it around with fake columns to, you know, confuse people. But from here, we're gonna make a slight change. Instead of having the ball on the outside of the pattern like this, we're gonna move our hand above the other ball. That's yo-yo. It's the exact same trick, we've just moved where our hand is. Now to make yo-yo look even cooler, I recommend using your wrist. So instead of lifting our arm up and down like we would with fake columns, I recommend tilting your wrist up and down as though you're throwing a yo-yo. It creates a slightly different look. Now you could just do it this way. That's totally valid as well, but play around with doing it with your wrist as well and see which one you prefer. But that's yo-yo, pretty basic. Let's move on to the next one. The next trick we're gonna learn is called oi oi, and it's called that because it's basically the inverse of yo-yo. Yo-yo, oi oi, get it? Jugglers are hilarious, yeah. In yo-yo, the ball that we're lifting with is gonna be on top of that ball being thrown, like this. But in oi oi, that ball is gonna be underneath. We're gonna start with that same exercise where we follow this inside ball. But this time, move your hand underneath. That's oi oi. I find this one the hardest of these variations just because what ends up happening with your hand underneath is that you don't have as much room to extend that hand that's catching the columns. Basically what that means is you just end up having to kind of pop these columns up a little more than what I normally recommend, where you fully extend to get that momentum. But with a little bit of practice, you got this. Okay, our final variation is just a simple variation from the 1-up, 2-up. Again, if you haven't learned the 1-up, 2-up, I feel like a lot of these tricks aren't gonna be that easy. Go to that tutorial that I already did on 5 easy juggling tricks. I cover it in there. If you learned the 1-up, 2-up with just one hand, I recommend learning it where you're alternating which hand is catching it. So go right, left, right, left. Because that's essentially what we're gonna be doing in this one, except now we're gonna throw it around the outside. And it creates like a little rainbow. It's so cute. It looks really similar to juggler's tennis, but it's sort of like a 1-up, 2-up version of it. So to do that, let's start with the 1-up, 2-up. From here, when you catch that middle ball, instead of throwing it back up in the middle, drag it to the outside and throw it around as an arcing reverse cascade throw to the other hand. From there, once you catch it in the other hand, you're gonna just pop it back on the outside, back to the other hand. Make sure when you're throwing this, you're throwing it as a reverse pop on the outside and really arc it over the top of the pattern so that it lands far enough on the outside that you can catch it. Try to aim just a little bit past your shoulder. There you have it. Those are 5 more easy juggling tricks that I think you'll pick up in no time with a little bit of practice. If you are a member of my Otter Club, you get access to an extended part of the tutorial right here where I'm going to teach 3 more variations of the 1-up, 2-up. If you're not already a patron, it's really easy to do so. You can cancel at any time and it's only $2 a month and you get access to not only the extended tutorial for this one, but also some other tricks and some more goodies. So there's a link in the description if you want to become a member of the Otter Club. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments comments and I will do my best to answer them. And if you're not already subscribed, consider pushing the button and turning on notifications so you can get notified of all my new videos when they come out. I have more tutorials that you'll like, and I make videos all the time with more juggling and other skills, and it's a good time, so do that. Good luck with everything. I hope that this helped, and I'll see you next time. Ah, you think I'd get better at the tossing back thing. People staring at me. And they don't stare at me like I'm cool, they stare at me like I'm weird. But whatever. I don't care, I'm confident. So the next trick we're gonna learn is called Yoyo. I don't know what it's called. Done.